You're listening to the Para House Entertainment Network. Come join us as we take you deep into the fire to the paranormal realms of hauntings, UFOs, ETs, alien abductions, strange creatures, and the vastness of universal consciousness as we continue to seek what is not supposed to exist as we search for the truth that only comes from going into the fire. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Into the Fire. It's a wonderful Sunday night. It's Devil's Night in most of the world as we know it today. Going on to Halloween. I hope you're having a great evening and a great time. So we are here tonight with a return guest, and we can't wait to get him back on here. We really enjoyed speaking to him last week. So we're going to do part two. But first of all, I'm going to take it over and kick it over to Tanya and Billy. How you guys doing today?
Just got home.
Yep. Been a pretty busy day today.
But we can't talk about that.
Right, exactly. I just love those things.
We'll take cues from our good buddies Judy and Jason.
Right?
Yep, here we are, the fearless ones.
But we can't talk about that.
Well, yeah, we can't talk about that. Yeah.
Busy day, but we can't talk about that.
Yeah, we got some great things coming up. Well, can't talk about that. And I got to see Mr. Doogie today, which is always a pleasure. He's such a wonderful man, and it's great to be able to sit down and say hey to Doogie for a little bit. Great friend, and but we are going to be continuing our discussion with our special guest tonight, Mike Walker. I'm going to bring Mike in here in just a second. I'm going to highlight his bio again one more time so that everybody can get to it. Mike Walker is a UFO paranormal experiencer and enthusiast that has passionately been studying the phenomena ever since his first amazing experience back in 1985 at the age of 12. While walking the neighborhood in his Hayward, California home with a childhood friend. Later, Mike would have what he calls visions following the experience, one being of a wheel within a wheel hovering and spinning above his childhood home. Another was him running from a crashing waves and jumping on the top of Stonehenge and sitting there. Yet another was him walking on a sandy beach with beached whales all around him. He also has experienced reoccurring dreams of being on board of the saucer. More recently, Mike has been monitored by white and even black orbs and spears, and has been able to capture pictures. Mike is also the co-host of the Paranormal Fridays, and we've got the website down there. I'll give it to you out loud at www.newagiguild.com/paranormal-Fridays. And you can find that on Facebook. You can also find him on Facebook because he has a great Metacraft shop, and where he posts wonderful messages of hope and self-healing as a light worker. He is also spending time to work with other experiencers and offering to hear or talk to them about their trauma that came from having such an experience with the ETs and APIs. So while trying to find commonalities from their experiences and also learn more about the phenomena and probably about his own experiences. I find that happens quite a lot. But while we're doing that, we're going to bring in Mike right now. Hello, Mike. How you doing?
Hey, team.
What do
How
you
are
say,
you?
brother? You
Hey,
all right
Tanya.
today?
Very well. How
How
you
was
doing,
your
I'm
Tanya,
rest?
digging
Billy?
the shirt. I'm digging the shirt.
Yes.
It's for you guys.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
That's
You know,
awesome.
and after going to your Facebook page and seeing some of the great, you've got some wonderful designs on there of heck, I can't even think today about wore out.
Sacred, yes, sacred
Yeah, sacred
geometry.
geometry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the geometry and everything. And
Yeah, what
you
he
even
said.
have pictures of the wheel and all that other good stuff
Oh, yeah.
that you have that I've seen, and I really enjoyed looking at that. One of the things in your bio that I just read through is the white and black orbs. I'm
Yeah.
very interested in hearing about that. Can you tell us a little bit about that as an experience?
Yeah, sure. I heard of the white orbs before, but it didn't really impress me much because my initial experience when I was 12 was just way too dramatic.
Mhm.
You know, they start me off with, so dramatic, and then you hear about these white orbs, and you're just like, lens flare. I mean, I'm just going on and on. Like I just didn't get it, And
Yeah,
one day I was having a barbecue in my backyard with my neighbor, which is he's one of those doubting Thomases. I can only go
right.
so far with that kind of conversation with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were out there, his family, my family, out there just having a nice barbecue during the day, and all of a sudden he goes, "Hey, Mike, what's that white light up there in the sky, just sitting there hovering?" And I look up, and once again, I've said this before with my wife, but I didn't want to embarrass myself and do what I wanted to do, which was, grab whatever just start. So I just kind of played it off a little bit, and just kind of nonchalant, I'm kind of shaking my hand a little bit, trying to get the phone out, and it's just a phone, and you're only going to get so much from the video, but I did capture it. We kept an eye on it for a little bit, and we lost track of it. And then it ended up on the other side of our yard, and slowly but surely just kind of faded away. And it wasn't too dramatic, but it got my attention. And then, wow, I pretty soon I started seeing him more and more. The next time I seen him by myself in the backyard, I seen my neighbor come out his house, and I said, "Hey, Cass, there's another one of them white orbs up there. Do you see it?" So he walked over to where I was at, and he looked up, and he goes, "No, I don't see it." And then he goes, "Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I see it." And as soon as he seen it, I laid eyes on it. I had my eyes on it the whole time. I saw it shoot up a little bit through the cloud, and it didn't take off completely out of sight. It looked like it was just kind of hiding a little bit. That was the first time that I actually seen the white orb actually make a movement, like a dramatic movement.
Right.
Normally it's just real slow, and then you lose it, and then you see it somewhere else, and you don't know what the speed it used to get there. But that was the first time I actually seen it invert straight up just a little bit, just to the cloud. And and he goes, "Oh, hell no!" And he goes back in the house shaking his head,
Yeah.
You gotta
like
know.
just hanging out with me. I guess he was afraid that something else was going to happen,
Yeah.
but it wasn't until I went to a town called Newark, and there was this mall, and called New Park Mall, and me and my maintenance crew went up there and started working on air conditioners, and there was a skylight that looked like a pyramid. It was a glass skylight. It was really pretty. So I went to take a picture of the skylight. I'm a big Egyptian pyramid fan, always have
Okay.
been for some reason. And right when I go to take the picture, my peripheral vision, I see a flash of light dive behind a wall, and didn't think nothing of it, chalked it up as nothing. I took the picture, and then in the picture, I get a crisp, clean white orb. Wasn't my lens flare at all. And I thought about it for a few moments, and I was like, that's the flashing light that I seen in my peripheral vision. So that's when I kind of learned that they can appear in different ways in different spectrums. To our eye, it could be a flash of light. To a device, they typically appear as these orbs. You know, um, my friend Marisol Smiley, I think we were talking about it a little bit, but yeah, she was having some experience with the cubes, and I went to offer her a pixelation explanation, and I went on my balcony and I took that random shot of the sky, and that's when I seen the black orb. And at first I told Marisol, I was just like, man, I'm not going to mess with you or question you anymore. Like, what did your posse do to me over here on this side? Um, but the black orb was something new to me. So I was just starting to get into and understand and believe, in a sense, about these white orbs. And then you guys are ghost hunters, and you know about the spirit orbs, and
Right.
you guys see the way these things move, right? And
Yeah.
it's very calculated, it's very smooth. It reminds me a lot of a UFO. It really does. And that's what
Yeah.
also makes me think that they share a thin layer of the electromagnetic spectrum, the whole paranormal in general. You can't just say UFOs are here, ghosts are here, Bigfoot is here, Nessie is
Right.
over here.
Yeah.
They all share a
Yep.
common. Yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense to me. My son Lucas, man, there was a question last week about family experiences, and I had mentioned my aunt Cindy had been involved in quite a few of key moments in my life and visions. My mom had the experience with Jesus, which I never thought was another puzzle piece. I didn't think I can use that to say, hey, yeah, it's an experience.
Experience. Right.
And my son. So I was thinking about it, and he's been having a lot of dreams, a lot of realistic dreams about breaking out of different matrices, about breaking out of like their levels,
Right.
Right.
and you know how you force yourself to wake up, and somehow you do it. You're like, whoa, well, whatever I did, it worked.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
Have him write
he,
those down so that way he can keep track of everything,
you heard that, Lucas?
Yeah. That's very
because it
important.
will make more sense if you write it all down, and then when you have something you're like, that sounds familiar, you can look back and then reread it, and then you're like, that's where it was.
Yeah.
Put it
But
all
it'll all
together.
connect together and it will make one big picture.
Right.
Yeah. You might not like the picture it's going to make, Lucas, but
Right. But
Yeah.
it
So
will help.
but
okay.
it will help you. Yeah.
So it's like he felt like he was accomplishing different levels and breaking out of different matrices. And when he would break out of the matrix, he would hear this humming noise, like a "woo," and then he would get a vibration on the right side of his stomach, and he would, without even looking up, he had enough of these dreams to know that meant the black spear was above him, and he would look up, and sure enough, there it is, and he would black out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's and I've taken him outside a couple times, and we've definitely seen some questionable things. But yeah, my son is definitely me. I have two boys, 20 and 25. Lucas is 25 and Joshua is 20. Josh is not so much into it as much as my older son, but yeah, he is definitely a carbon copy of me. And yeah, yeah, so that's the experiences that I have with the black orb. I did take a picture immediately after I captured it, several pictures to
Uh-huh.
debunk it. I've never captured anything else like that again.
Yeah.
Definitely got to put him in touch with Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely needed to have him talk with Patrick. And we mentioned Patrick Jackson in his book, Quantum Paranormal. And he talks about the EMF, certain fields, and what is here. And as I was telling you about Steve
Colburn.
Colbert, working on nanotechnology and the other type of stuff, but they had found an orb, and they went and looked at it, and it was an orb. Well, we would call it an orb, a light orb or whatever. But then it turned as it came down to the ground. It actually was a solid form, and they have pictures of solid form orbs. Um, that are some kind of craft or whatever. And this one crashed. And when it did, it landed, and the EMF pulse that came out of it actually killed a cow 100 yards away from it. And very, very interesting story. But Steve was able to go down there and take a sample off of it because it did burn in that one area and it was soft, or there would have been no way that they could have gotten anything off of that. And it is definitely a non-terrestrial, so it is definitely not from this earth. And they've been doing experiments and everything, but they're talking about how these orbs have control of the electromagnetic field and how fields can go up and down, and basically put rays in the sky that they follow, basically seal off all this area that is basically what we would know as space, but they can control it in some manner or another. And
he also believes that they can manipulate or impersonate paranormal activity.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
There was a strange giggling right before the show started.
We heard
and
it too.
it lit me up a little bit. I mean, I don't know what's going on in the background, but by the look of Tanya and Billy, it wasn't them.
We heard it. Yeah. We heard it.
It reminded me of one of those weird giggly. I don't know if you remember those. The picture of a funny looking character you'd put up on your wall, and you'd pull his tie, and he'd like gleek water at you and go, kind of like, I don't know if.
Yeah. Well, I don't have anything like that at our house, and
Mama Bear wasn't giggling.
No, it's not the first time that we've had weird things happen on our show, because as we talk more about the paranormal and the supernatural parts of this world, we have had some amazing things come across the mics, and people saying and hearing some very, very strange things, especially during paranormal shows, UFO shows, the whole 9 yards. And so doesn't make, you're not going to get me to raise my eyebrows on it, because I'm going to say, yep, it happens, and I don't need to try to debunk it, because I just know it happens here in the show. I know that you've been, from looking at your Facebook page and everything, you do so many cool things, and I know that you're becoming more and more conscious. And I want you to talk about your experiences from having a UFO experience and taking that from there and going into downloads, if you will, or whatever they have gotten to get you get past the trauma part, you get past the other part, and it leaves you in this open conscious state that you're very interested in consciousness, interested in humanity, and want to do the things that you do and help others, like you do with UFO abductees and all that other stuff, by hearing that. And I'd love to hear how you progress through that and what it means to you.
Okay. Yeah. If you think about it, it's it's quite a contrast when you're talking about UFOs and the hierarchy of the angelic realm.
Mhm.
UFOs, religion. It's quite a contrast. It does have some arguments there, um, but in my personal experience, that that's what's going on here. I'm slowly but surely starting to lean more to the spiritual side of things. The experience was one thing, and that was totally amazing, but the visions are what I keep going back to.
Mhm.
And I keep telling myself, I I don't a 12-year-old boy had no business seeing what I seen. That wasn't a thing to me.
Right.
And the more I study this wheel within the wheel, um, the more it sounds a lot like meditation and spinning of the chakras and just activating our energy sources. That's
Yeah.
what makes sense to me. Once again, I don't put it in stone, but that's where I'm led. Um, like I said last week, they call it many things, but typically it's part of the nine choirs of angels in uh, the hierarchy of angels. We have one through nine. The first three are considered in ancient times the first spear.
Right.
And we have the seraphim, which is number one, which means the burning ones. And then you have the cherubim, which are ranked second, and they seem to be doing some shape shifting, which, from what I learned, is something that happens around 9D, the ninth dimension. And then you have the thrones, which are called the Orphanum. They call them the wheel within the wheel. There's also a name called the Galgamin. In Hebrew, Galgamin means spears, wheels, and whirlwinds.
Right.
Um, and it's the Hebrew language is alpha numerical, and to me it just seems like it would be much harder to lie to the people through that language for some reason.
Yes.
Each word has like three different meanings, no more, no less. They only give you a certain, looks like they only give you a certain amount of room there to play with. So, and then if you, and even studying the phenomenon of the wheel within the wheel, they had some strict rules back in the ancient times. You weren't allowed to talk about it or to teach, your findings on the Ophanum. They set that aside to high ranking priests and nuns, and just, so it didn't make any sense. I'm just, as human as the next person, and why am I seeing this? And now I'm at the point where I'm saying to myself, why not? It
Exactly.
feels good, it feels positive. um it just blows me away. So that I'm more fascinated with the vision of the Orphanum than anything.
Yeah.
And so I have a creative bug. I'm a little bit of an artisan, and I created Orphanum Energy uh, because I really got into crystals, crystal gridding, prayer. Anything that I did on my energy table seemed to reflect the sky. I'd go outside and I'm seeing beautiful, apparitions in the sky. And I know there's a word for it. Where you find something, you could take a picture of any cloud and you'll find, there's Scooby Doo, there's
Yeah.
Doctor Who,
Yeah. It's called Paradia. When
yes,
people.
there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it takes it takes quite a cloud for me to share it, and it seems like a lot of people see what I see. Sometimes they see things that I don't see, and I'm like, wow, I'm blown away. It's
Exactly.
um, so I created the Opernum energy originally for my creative bug because I just love making things, and
Right.
I put it on my energy table. I put love and light and energy into it, and the things that I create for me and my loved ones works for us. And I just wanted to try it for my friends as well.
Yeah.
And business, it's not like I was trying to make a whole lot of money here. As a matter of fact, I probably haven't sold anything in over a year. I don't push for promote the promotions and all that. It started slowly but surely started to turn more into like a biblically accurate angel diary of mine.
Right.
Just everything and anything that I've come to know or learn or realize through this angelic realm here.
Right. It is a wonderful venture, if you will, in life. And as I've dealt with several um, abductees or people who have had experiences and so forth, and once they get past, it's getting them past the trauma stage and getting them back to the stage where, yes, this did happen, and yes, you have to realize it and you have to move forward and deal with it, and then as you go inside, and we talk a lot about going inside and actually soul searching, if you will, as you're in there and you're talking to um, your infinite energy that is connected to a source that is way above. And the funny thing about it is as I look at the um, ET connections or UFO connections and everything else, they are all in that same source. It's all one melting pot of like consciousness, if you will, and it all comes together, and you kind of can dip out of it like a bowl to be able to see it. And as you start to gradually become more and more attuned to that, what you do get is a very high spiritual things, and it's amazing. We talk about the white orbs and the black orbs. A lot of people have seen the orange orbs. Have you ever seen the orange, like fireball crafts or anything like that? What they consider to be the orange orbs, and the people who have those experiences have the most heavenly experiences. It's more like, wow, I am overwhelmed with warmth and spirit towards the whole thing opening up and just going, that's amazing. They don't talk about a bad feeling. They don't have that bad feeling. They have the most biblical experience that they could ever
Right.
have. And they just feel totally uh, blown away with that feeling, and then they take it from that part on. And it goes into learning about yourself, more about mankind, and a desire to want to just help other people, and it is an amazing thing to blow off all that shell that you have been totally conditioned to learn and go to this other free way of thinking that is so much better for your soul, for your own energy. You're not, you're a happy guy.
Right.
Yeah, we have problems. We have problems just like everybody else. But at the same time, you also have a inner inner being and an inner light that is just so energetic that it comes across that way to other people. And you have a lot of people that search you out, don't you?
That orange orb is also depicted. It's mistaken as a halo, as far as
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It just, it's like the halos, Saturn in the sky and back in all the angelics. It looked like they had the ring of Saturn around their head also, anytime that they were dealing with that. And it's just, it's totally amazing. And I love to see the people who come and make all that transport, take all of the experiences that they have and turn it into such a positive experience, because that's what it becomes to be. It becomes a life-changing, life-altering experience of a higher power and a higher being. And sometimes it makes some people actually believe that, personally, that they can travel during those times. Have you ever done any traveling, if you will? And you were talking about dimensions or
Yeah.
steps. So I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, sure. I do a lot of meditation sitting in the bathtub, and
Great place.
I was doing a meditation, and there's like a common theme in the very initial beginnings of my meditation. I visualize I see an eye first, and then I see like a perspective of somebody above me looking at me from above, and then I see a perspective of me looking at me from below, and then from there it starts. And it was a short travel. It was from my bathroom to my bedroom, but it definitely happened. I'm confident enough to say that that session definitely worked. I had gotten up, walked into my bedroom, looked at my energy table that I had just recently created, and there was a white light that came out of the center of my energy grid, my crystal grid. It came up, went to my front door, which I have it's a circle, and it's got turkey feathers all the way around it. If I get a chance, I'll show you guys. It looks like a portal, but that white it does. I didn't mean it to look
Yeah.
like that. I just ran out of places to stick these feathers from all my hikes,
Right.
and I'm looking at it right now. But that white light went from my energy grid, went over to the door, and went into
Yeah.
into the little portal thing.
Right.
And
Well, it's all good until a pterodactyl comes flying out of it.
On the other end of it,
yeah. But yeah, so, and you want to talk about colors and detail. I mean, it wasn't a fuzzy, like, yeah, I think that was my room. Like, no, it was my room.
Right.
High
Exactly.
def HD,
Yeah.
But so we were talking a little bit about the Merkaba mysticism, but there's also
Yes.
there's a Merkaba meditation, and it consists of a lot of breathing. Boy, I look at that and I'm not even ready for that. Like as a smoker, I'm like, oh no, don't.
Oh,
I knew
yeah.
it had to do with breathing. I knew it. And
Yeah.
at the end of the instructions, which are quite long,
Mhm.
basically you're supposed to be opening up a portal to enter different dimensions, and to me
Message.
it sounds a lot like sacred knowledge. I mean, this is what they're hiding, the stuff that's hidden in plain sight. It's in us. We're walking around. We
That's
are the technology. We are advanced technology. Someone's
that is
already
so
figured
true.
it out.
Right.
Someone's already figured it out. Look at us. We're beautiful. Walk
Yeah.
outside. It's beautiful. I mean, if you go out into the forest or the beach, man, now that's advanced technology right there.
That is. And you do have all the abilities to open those gates and that gateway. We are a gateway in itself. And when I always
The
like it
gatekeeper and
when,
the keymaster.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I like it when people do get to do that travel, because we're meant to be able to do that. We have that spirit that we can travel through into another dimension and be able to travel through things. And we see it in just like you're talking about, it's HD, and sometimes um, you're in an areas where you don't feel like you should be, you know, and you're kind of more cloaked. You want to become more that way, because I have found through my things is sometimes there are people there that can look at you and follow you back, like going, "What's he doing here? How does he know that?"
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced
Right.
that?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the guy that was looking at me in the dance floor. He wasn't You didn't look too happy to see me. And it flipped
Right.
me out.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And then, yeah, remember when I was telling you, I would I go, no, that didn't happen. Let me let me close my eyes and try that again.
Right.
Well, I didn't tell you guys last week. The second time I tried it, I wasn't at a dance club this time. This time I was in more of a, man, it seemed like a jail or like a processing, a lot of cement walls, a lot of cement, uncomfortable benches, a lot of those doors, growing up in school, those doors that have just a little bit of a window,
Right.
Mhm.
Well,
Right.
I remember walking up to one of those doors and looking in that little square window, and I seen two gentlemen sitting on a cement bench. It looked like a holding cell, for
Mhm.
processing inmates or something.
Yes.
And they were both just sitting there. They didn't look too happy. Their energy was low. One of them kind of looked up slowly. He looked up at the door and he looked right at me, and instantly he snapped out of it. He told his buddy, and he pointed at me, and he went to get up to approach me. I left again. I didn't even give it a
Right.
chance.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he was the
I gotta ask you, the first time you did it, was it like a, oh shit, did that really just happen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I was in the Navy, and
I,
I, like I said, I did my share of drinking, all that stuff. I had a slight hangover, which would, a dull headache, so to speak. And so I really was like, man, I'm just, I did too much drinking is what it was. But I just kept doing it. I didn't feel like I was, drunk anymore. You know, um, I just kept trying it, and I would, there I was. I popped into another place. I only did it a few times, but yeah, that's, I kind of left it alone, and I didn't think it had anything to do with anything. Just. And now to this day, when I do get a dull headache from anything else, I don't know. I think maybe the wires in our brain are crossed just right or something, and it kind of helps with the meditation,
Yeah.
these dull headaches. So maybe that's what it was that night. The wires were crossed just right, and
Mhm.
I was able to do that.
Well, you mentioned something interesting too about frequencies. You were hearing after seeing the orbs and after seeing that, you heard that hum, or you're going through that different stages and you hear that
or your son.
My son
sun, or
Lucas.
yeah, or your son was hearing that. And frequency has so much to do with it. I mean, it is an amazing thing. We are just touching base on that. And do you experience that frequency change where you know that you hear the frequencies and it affects you in a different way?
Oh, absolutely. I flirted with the 432 and
Mhm.
all the other different frequencies, and yeah, they definitely make me feel a certain way.
Yeah.
Some make me feel a little uneasy. Some I can barely. I got a frequency generator app, and you can go from
Mhm.
0 to where
Yeah.
I think my dog
Way up
hears it,
there.
but I don't. Uh,
Yeah.
my wife she hates it when I start getting really high like that. She'll come in.
I blast her with it all the time. What the hell was that?
She
Yeah.
comes in my room.
You
She's
can
all,
hear that?
turn that off.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm like, I can't even hear it in this room, and you can hear it in the other room. Like, so yeah, they different strokes for different folks. They affect
Yeah.
everybody a little bit different. You know.
Well, it's funny because my
I'm a
wife
member of that
didn't hear it
club.
at all.
Yeah, he
She
is.
used to say, "What are you talking about?" I used to say, "Do you hear that frequency? Do you hear those things?" And she would go, "No, no, no,
Here,
no.
hold
I
my
don't
beer
hear
while I
anything
turn it
anymore."
up.
Then all of a sudden, she starts complaining about frequencies. She's hearing, "What is that hum? And where's that coming from? And how is that?" And it does have an effect on you, and
Yeah.
it does change you. And the the lower level frequencies seem to be very downers, you know, and that if you're below the 432, which is the hum of the earth, basically the same frequency as the hum of the earth, I think 7.8 hertz or something like that. But it is a very great thing because it cancels out bad energy, pushes out good energy, and So if you're staying above or at that 432 level, you're at a totally different level. You're protected in a lot of ways. It's an amazing thing to look at, and I can't wait to see more work done in the field towards that, and more people going towards that. And I believe we're
Right.
seeing that now,
Right.
as it is opening up, because we're having quite a lot of different experiences that are leading us towards this higher being or higher self. Do you believe that?
I do. And then, you see people messing with the frequencies, people that had no business. We didn't give these people any right to change
Right,
any of
to
these
change it.
frequencies. It may seem like a very subtle change, but it's dramatic. It's a dramatic change. And you go
Mhm.
from the harmonic Schumann resonance, of a 7.83, or like you were saying, to
Mhm.
you change it to a 444 or 440. I think it was maybe one of the Rockefellers, I believe, that
Is that
changed
correct?
all music that we hear. It's just suspicious. It's just suspicious, and I feel like we're catching on a little bit,
Yes.
and someone's in trouble.
Right. And that's the truth, because they are affecting the way that our minds, as a group, as a collective,
Right.
and we are all one. So many people have lost that way and that thought. But when you put it together, just like you said, what do? 432 is the natural thing. So they take the musical note A, and they change the musical note A to a 440, and it adapts and warps it to a point where, okay, now it sounds different. Some people say, but and you can definitely hear it when you are looking at both of them in different ways. But the benefits of that change everything, and it makes you more controllable.
Right. Exactly.
Where they can put things into your mind,
Yeah.
and that's how amazing our bodies are, how our spirit is, and our soul is. And so many people have missed that. And as I talk about it, it's kind of a gift in a certain way when these experiences happen. And yes, there are bad experiences with ET. I'm not saying that they're all good and darling, but I've always looked at it as going, and I don't know how you feel, but I'll give you my thoughts, and then you can give me yours. I always thought that um, you have these experiences, and those are sometimes you don't remember them all the way, or they come back to you later at a later time, and you start to sort it out in your mind. And then there's these horrific type of things that seem to always involve an outsider of some sort. So you're there, but you may see a military guy. All right. My lab's kind of like that kind of
Right.
stuff, or other things where um, something is there and they're starting to find out more about you. They're like going, why were you visited? That's the way I feel. How come you are being targeted by these individuals? And they are doing these things to you to find out why. And those things are extremely painful and extremely uh, terrifying in a lot of ways. And do you, what do you think of that idea? Do you think that's possible?
I think it's the difference between a man-made version of what the UFOs and those beings are doing. We try to back engineer and try to figure out, and I believe that they have possibly figured out some of it to an extent, to where
Mm.
I do believe they do have we have the UFOs as well, and the whole my lab. And it just seems like a darker, which is understandable. It's
It
not
is.
it's not natural. And the experience I had, I feel that it was a little, maybe it was genuinely extraterrestrial, due to the fact that they did it right. The the memory that has been suppressed in my subconscious, maybe was for my own good. And
Yeah.
what I do get out of it is nothing but positivity. But if you were to show me a quick screenshot of some of the memories that have been suppressed, I might not think the same thing. But like you said, you get a piece of it here, a piece of it there. You might think it was a horrible experience. You don't know the whole
Right.
picture. They don't know how to quite do it yet. And so the memories that you're going to get are either what they implanted, what they intended, or they just don't know what they're doing. And it's just confusing. And you've got all these different shots of horrific things happen to you and not enough understanding of
So
anything
what
else.
exactly is going on?
Right.
Exactly. What you're saying,
Yeah.
and
It's like just a man-made thing, you know?
Mhm.
It's just not real, not pure. So there's going to be more accidents.
Have you, as you travel, and I'm going to use it as traveling, have you ever found or talked to someone who has seen you? You go through this thing, and the next thing you know, you may bump into somebody that you may know. Have you ever had anybody mention that? Oh, geez, I saw you here at this thing, and you helped me in this way or this way. Have you ever had anything like that?
I have not. I had a person, tell me, they were saying to themselves, "Get out of my head," but
Yeah,
but not physically. I don't know if they physically saw me,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
but
I've had that happen, and it is a bizarre feeling when you have this thing, and then the next thing you know, someone is sharing the same thing and
yeah,
saying, "You were there," and I'm like
yeah,
going, I get it. I got it. I got it. I remember us all standing there too, and
yeah,
that is a mind blower but it is very, very real. And I don't know what time period it is. I don't know where it is. Sometimes I've been in those places where you've seen those gigantic walls, underground trains, underground areas that I just don't know if I'm supposed to be there or not. And I've seen other areas that are just like from another planet or another area. I
right.
don't know
They even
where
have it.
we're at. And it's just like going, wow, that's amazing. And here I am in this another life. But I know that it's very comfortable and they are communicating. We're having conversations about the world of where we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do.
Mhm.
That's the weird thing about it that always sets things to me apart and makes me go, wow.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a message from a messenger, and
it is. It
an
is. And it's
angel
imprinted into
in
you.
Hebrew means messenger. So
Part of an awakening.
Yeah.
Right.
absolutely. And,
Yeah.
awakenings, it's like, already had my awakening. I'm awoke, and it's like, it's not
No,
like that.
It's like
No.
leveling up.
leveling up. There's many levels to it.
There's
Like we were talking about
many,
There's
earlier.
many, many
many, many
awakenings.
levels to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the start, and as you develop it, as you go through with it,
Yeah.
it just goes higher and higher and higher and higher. And that's the step pyramid, if you will. That's there's a level of each until you reach what I believe is the Godhead, the total understanding of all beings. So, but
And we were talking. I was telling you guys how the wheel within the wheel has many different names. One of them I left out
yes.
was Merkabah. And you look at the
Mhm.
word Merkabah in Hebrew. Mer means light. Ka, Ka means spirit, and Ba means body. And here's something I want to read this to you. It's very, very interesting.
Oh,
The
please do. I'd love to hear it.
The
Mhm.
spirit/body surrounded by counter-rotating fields of light, wheels within wheels, spirals of energy, as in DNA, which transports spirit body from one dimension to the next. That's why in the beginning of the show, I was telling you, it just seems to lean me to more and more towards meditation, spinning of our of our chakras, which are energy zones.
Right, exactly.
You
Guys,
know,
use it or lose it. I mean,
yeah,
it's
Yeah,
there.
it's there. And,
And
a
you're
lot of
being
people don't
guided to
understand.
that.
Yeah.
Right. And we're not no one's walking around fully, activated all the time. I mean,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something we have to go through. It's
Mhm.
the
Right.
ups
It,
and
it's
downs.
it is a process. It's a
Right.
process of
Hmm.
doing it.
It's a practice.
It's finding it and getting to it is the first problem, and then that path. Once you're on that path becomes easier and easier to be able to follow because it's you just know and feel that that is right, and you just continue to go down that because there is benefits to you through it. There's without a doubt. I'd love to go to the chat room. I'm sure the chat's got some pretty good questions out there. I'd like to say some hellos to some very special
Yeah.
people. Thank you for supporting us and thank you for always being in there. Brandon's in there tonight. How you doing? And we've got the wonderful Beth Allen. Frankie Lynn, how are you? By the way, next week we're going to have a special show about. We're going to have Frankie Lynn on as our guest, and we're going to talk a little bit about spirit with her, and we're also going to talk about her wonderful gifts that she has as far as her wonderful, wonderful paintings, her beautiful crafts that really and they make people happy, and they're so enjoyable. And dang it, girl, you brought me to tears. So it's kind of
She's a
Beautiful.
beautiful
Melinda,
soul.
how are you, Melinda? CC's on Melinda in the house tonight. So nice to have you.
Real quick,
And,
I want to say a real quick hi to Kiera.
Mhm.
oh
Uh,
yeah.
Kiera's watching the show with her mommy tonight, so we want to say hi
Oh,
to
hi,
her.
kid.
And
Yeah.
Oh yes,
we'll try to
definitely,
behave.
definitely. And hello, Tara, also, and Christy. How are you, Christy Baggett? And I'm just going through. Ada Cox in the house. How are you? I know you had a busy week up there in West Virginia
Holly.
this week. So yep, and Holly. We've got them all down here. Go through some of them. I'm just looking at it. And have you picked out any questions? Is there any uh, questions that you guys have seen
Yeah,
at all out
Frankie
there?
was asking a question earlier about the size of the orbs or disc that or spheres. I'm sorry, that you saw. What was
So they, to me, they're starting to look kind of the same size, but it's also hard to tell how high they are. Although I did see that one shoot through the cloud a little bit, they're not too big, and maybe they don't have to be. Just like we were talking about last week. You can enter a room that is unassuming, yet overwhelming when you enter it. I think
Right.
that may very well go the same for these orbs, these spirits' chariot, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like going. At one time, we had a case that someone actually had seen an orb coming. They had an experience, and they saw a being on the ground, and then they saw a orb come out of the woods and shot out and then take off after the way that the craft did. And the assumption was being made that what if that orb was that own personal craft to be able to get him back to the ship? And it was almost like his life force goes into that and it shoots out, and then he takes that back to the ship. And
Right.
I thought, wow, darn could be. I mean,
Wow. That's the
Mhm.
ship's life force. That's the ship's
right,
Merkaba. Oh,
Mhm.
wow.
exactly,
Yeah.
and basically what he is in a bubble, and he's riding that back to that
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
that
They don't
Right.
ever take off. They don't ever seem to
right.
take off without that.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's
exactly.
beautiful.
And I've never forgotten that, and it's
Wow.
always been something that I've kept in aside. So
That
it
is
is amazing.
amazing. That reminds me a little bit of one of the thoughts that I had of the wheel within the wheel when I'm sitting here just brainstorming, trying to think of all these things that it could have been. One of the ideas I did come up with was maybe that was me. I hopped out of that car real quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I hopped out of that car and looked up at it, you know. That was my grandpa Jack's original house, and I loved my grandpa Jack so much. And he was in a wheelchair my whole life that I knew him. Arthritis really took over this man's body. He passed away in his early 50s,
Mm.
and I loved that man so much. I would jump on his lap, and I would throw an Indian scarf over his shoulder. I'd put on a cowboy hat, and we'd play cowboys and Indians, and I didn't care that he was on a wheelchair, and I didn't think nothing of it. I just loved this
Right.
man so much, and he'd let me drink the last bit of his sweet little coffee, and that's where my love of coffee came from. You know, I
Yeah.
thought also that wheel within a wheel was my grandpa. That's my grandpa's wheels. You know,
Right.
spinning. You know, it just means different things to me at different times. But
It
I like
does.
your theory the best, Bear. I really do.
Well, thank you. But it's um
Show them the
it's
hamster underneath your hat.
yeah,
Go
running
on,
around in
get
my
it.
brain. That's
Yeah.
right. But gosh, there's so much out there, and we've been through so much. And the other thing about it, when Frankie was talking about the size of it, and even in the crafts, and I know that you've been in the inside, you had visions of being inside the craft a lot. And one of the things I think we mentioned it last week too that have always amazed me is whenever I was in a craft, or for some reason or other, I thought the craft was, if I saw the craft on the outside, it looked to be like 40 by 40 or something like that in a small craft. And here I am inside this craft, sitting against the wall in a chair, looking at a massive hallway, um, amazing things. And you're like going, where am I now? Did I get transported from this into the gigantic city hall or something? Because
Right.
it never, I keep on, I had that problem like going, how in the heck did I enter a tin can? And now that tin can is like,
Taj
uh,
Mahal.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. It was, I mean, it's like going room after room after room, just a gigantic area. And that's one thing that's always played with me. But when I started traveling and going into different places, and then other dimensions, or through gates, and I started realizing that, wow, this is just an opening into um, a total different world. It just opens up into this massive other being with different types of beings, and there are beings like us, or other type beings. There's light beings that are amazing, spiritual angels, and so forth, that are there guiding. And it is just an amazing transition that we go through as a human being. There's so much that we need to learn about ourselves, but it's been tampered down so much, because of other people wanting to have control of that energy, I believe.
Right.
Mhm.
They want
And
you not to conform to that. If you become a certain way, then what happens? You don't buy their bullcrap,
right.
you know? Sorry to say.
And pretty
And
soon they eventually lose a grip on
right,
the whole
exactly. Yeah.
trying
And
to
what they
dumb us
don't want
down
you to
and
do
everything.
is they don't want you to go out and talk to other people and say, hey, well, try this. And if you are able to do this, then you are breaking those chains. And then you have another whole set of people that are over here. It's like the true thing about the red pill and the blue pill. It is the matrix. You escape the matrix, it's there, but there's always going to be the people that want to go and stay in the matrix. They like that stake. They like
Mhm.
that feeling. They like what they've projected, and they buy that, and they're comfortable with it. And that's the battle that we have in between ourselves all the time. So,
That's
But
why I think it's school for our soul. You know, if we're going to learn to live in harmony with those type other beings that you described, that
yes,
we have to learn to get along with each other here with our different races and creeds and colors, and it starts here at this
right. It
school.
does start here. It starts and it starts inside of you right here. And that's where it all changes. To you changing it. I mean, but there are the other people that want to force you into saying, "Oh, you're a bad person because of this, and
Right.
you're a bad person
Yeah.
because of that," and that just extends discord all over the place. And then you just got to wrap them back up. So, and that's why I think that there's so many people now that are uh, being what we call awakened, not in the sense of all of it, but taking that step into a more spiritual life, more into that wheel within a wheel, if you will, and the things that are open in that area, because there it is a vast new world. You are leaving from one dimension to another dimension. You are upgrading yourself and becoming more of a human, but more as a spiritual being. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. I mean, everyone's heard of angels,
Yeah.
but not a lot of people have heard of these type of angels, and still a lot of people that don't know what that is. And
Right.
you know I my co-host Angel, she's kind of like my guru as well. I was telling her I want to put Orphanum Angels on the map, and she's like, Orphanum Angels don't need you to put them on. They
On
don't.
the map.
They don't need Mike Walker to put on the map.
Yeah.
Just keep doing what you're doing, and yeah, the terminology I use there, I kind of put an energy out there by saying that, like I want to
Right.
put them on the
Exactly.
map, like it's
Yeah.
like Too Short putting on the map, like
Right. Well, see what is so amazing is that it wells up inside of your energy, and you want to share that energy and that welling with other
absolutely.
beings and other life forces, and that's what that comes out. And when you are around people, what do they see? They see that glowing, beaming thing that you have something that they and they go,
They're attracted to each other.
Yep.
exactly, and that attracts
Yep.
like that, and that's where it begins, my friend. That's where it begins. So it's just, just amazing. Still looking for anybody else in the chat room have anything else to say? Would like a comment?
Well, when he was talking about the astral projection, and you said, I think you said you were like in a jail and the guy pointed at you.
Yeah,
Frankie Lynn said maybe he thought you were a ghost.
absolutely.
How do you think people would see somebody doing astral projection?
Yeah, they might
What does that look
see it.
like? Yeah.
Right. I know. I've often wondered that. Uh, to me, it looked like he looked right into my eyes, but he could have very well have just seen an orb floating in the window. And then when he got up to
Or an apparition.
Let me
pursue it,
ask you this: Did
or an
you feel like,
apparition, yeah.
yeah? Did you feel like maybe he knew who you were? Did you get that
No, the
impression?
looking is. I'm not sure about that, Billy, but I think he was more surprised of what he was seeing and how what he was seeing was in there. So yeah, it does sound like more and more that it wasn't just like seeing Joe Bob standing there to check on him, see you all right, no, it was something. So it more than likely was an apparition, or a ghostly, yeah, like a manifestation of myself. But yeah, he was going to approach. He didn't look like he was mean, but he was definitely in shock.
Yeah.
Like he had
Yeah.
seen a ghost. He had
Yeah.
seen.
Like, what the hell is that? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of like in a paranormal, how do we know that we're not their ghosts?
Yeah. It's
we're
like,
just visiting another dimension at a time. They
yeah.
they come into that veil rolls like this, and as it comes close, and if we have that opportunity, and we're in there talking about it, that's why you may get EVPs and other things that would be more along the lines of, "Go away, get out of here," because
Mhm.
they may be shocked. They're doing about their things, and they see something and going like, "Whoa, wait a minute."
Now, Mike, let me ask you this: whenever you go into meditation and you do these, you transfer to someplace else, do you feel like it's a random place, or do you feel like you were pulled to that location?
I think it's random because I don't really know what but what made me think of feel like some do pop into these places. I feel like where I pop into these places sometimes is like little ponds, little pools of water where other beings keep track of us, keep an eye on us. They be holding hands, walk with another being at a park, and get these little ponds and go, "Oh look, Mike's meditating again. He's starting to through. I can, like skyring. Like they're
Yes.
skyring into a pond, and they're like, "Oh, how cute! Look, he's still trying. He's what a beautiful thing. Look, many people trying to pop through these little ponds." Yeah, I think it's random, Billy, until I really grasp on what I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay.
I, I have an EVP that I received from my father a couple weeks, maybe a month after he passed away, and I know this is going to sound a little selfish, so I feel like I need to explain a quick little backstory before I had this conversation with my dad on his deathbed. I had asked him when he does cross over, because it came to the point where we both knew what was going to happen. The jaundice, the yellow, it had kicked in, and from alcohol, and he was going to pass. I asked him if he would let me know when he gets on the other side, if he could let me know he's okay. And I know it sounds like a selfish thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, wow, how selfish. The poor guy's dying on his deathbed, and you're asking him to, come back and prove that there's life after death. It wasn't like that. The
Just to let
backstory,
you know he's okay.
yeah, yeah. And at the same time, wow, there's life after death after all,
Right.
But the backstory to it was when I was 17, I had ran away from my mother and went to. I lived in Oakdale in California. The zip code was EIEIO. It was out in the country, and I was living with my dad, and it was summertime. I was 17, and me and about 5 other friends were at this place called Woodward Reservoir, and we're jumping off this bridge into the water all day, having a real good time. The first couple times was scary jumping off this bridge because it was pretty big, but after that we became comfortable, had a real good time. And one of my best friends, his name was Stephen Brent Ferreira. He was 26 at the time. He was an older cat, and we thought it was so cool. He was 26, hanging out with us, and really admired him. He was a really good friend of mine, and we were all getting ready to go, and he decided he wanted to jump off the bridge one more time. And I was so down with whatever he wanted to do. I said, "Okay, let's go. I'm down." Everyone else stayed in the car. Me and Steve were standing there on the side of the bridge, and for some reason, I don't know why, but this time I looked at Steve as we're hanging off the side of the bridge, and I looked at him and I said, "What do you want to count to?" And he said, "I don't want to count." And he kicked himself off the bridge. So I kind of hesitated, and then I kicked myself off. So he goes into the water, and when he comes up for air, I did land on him. And to make a long story short, he did pass away. And there were so many things, as you can imagine, that I felt, and the guilt and the trauma of being involved, or the cause of one of your best friends' death. I apparently knocked him out, and we couldn't get him. And my father right away was like, "Son, I'll pay for counseling. Do you want counseling?" And I just never bought into that stuff. And I told him, "No, Dad, I'll be okay." And I had a dream of Steve. He came to me and he told me everything that I needed to hear without even moving his mouth. Just looking into his eyes and his body language was telling me so many things. It was telling me, he told me this without moving his mouth. He said, if you only knew what it was like on this other side, you guys would be lined up at the Golden Gate Bridge. You know, if he goes, Mike, you have to move on with your life. There's no way in the world that anybody's going to do any good from you, just being depressed the rest of your life because of this. And I woke up that next day and that was all that I needed. And so that's what I was basically asking my father, was just a conversation like that, for example. So because I did say, I go, you remember how Steve came to me in my dream, right, Dad? And he goes, yes, I do. And I go, well, and my dad's a funny guy, and he said, well, I'll do whatever's most convenient. What a thing to say. I mean, he was still
Yeah.
he was still joking. He was showing me his new tattoo. It was his wife had just survived breast cancer, so he had a pink heart on his forearm, and he goes, look, son, it's not even pink anymore, because he was turning yellow. My dad's humor stayed with him to the very end. And a couple weeks after he did pass, I forgot about that conversation. And I was playing with my old flip phone, and I seen an option that said record audio recordings. So I just started asking random people in my life that had passed. I probably asked about 6 or 7 people. I said, hey, is there anybody out there that would like to say hi or speak to me? So I started off with my Grandpa Jack. Grandpa Jack, are you still with me? Stephanie, my sister, are you still with me? I just kept going on and on. I get to my dad, Dad, you still with me? I didn't hear anything live, but then of course when I played it back, I heard my dad say hello, and I listened to it over and over and over again. That's my dad.
Yeah.
He's it was the exact same way that he would say hello when he would pick me up on the weekends. We'd go to his sister's house, open up his sister's, my aunt's door without even knocking, which I thought was really neat, because we're family, we don't have to knock. He would open up the door and go, hello, just like that. So that was my dad.
And that was a gift.
Yeah.
That is a gift. It is a gift. And that's what a lot of people fail to realize.
And you opened up that door.
Yeah, exactly. Let that be a great message and continue to work in that way. We've got some questions from Frankie Lynn again. We've got one from Stacy Holland. Hello, Stacy. How are you doing tonight? I'll go to Stacy's first one. Traveling, are you ever felt like you were wound up somewhere where you're not supposed to be? And at that exact moment, is it random? And what do you think we are supposed to learn from the locations and whoever is there? Good
Yeah,
question.
there's a lot to learn there for me.
Yes.
Like I was telling Billy, I'll be honest with myself. I don't know if I'm going to know everything by the time, it's time to move on to the next level.
Right.
But it does seem random, unless I'm tuning in to the correct matter of which to get to a place. I'm sure that someone's documented a way to do it, but I haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
I would like to start probably start with my heart and just pure childlike wonderment. I'm just trying to retain my childlike wonderment, because that's when I seem to have
the
the
true
most
innocence. That's
Mhm. It's the key.
right.
It is. Because you strip away all of that programming. You strip away everything, and what are you?
Yeah.
You are a pure being again, and you are excited about every new thing, like a new toy that you're
And open
experiencing,
to it.
and you're so open to it. That's exactly right.
But I
And
didn't enter any place where I thought, hey, I don't belong here.
Right.
No.
I have entered in astral projection. I have entered a place that I know that I was not supposed to be, and
You
uh,
described it earlier, I believe, right?
yeah, and
You were,
when that happened, I remember someone hitting my hand and with something very hard, and this is when I realized that you could die when you do this because
Mhm.
my body when I came back, I remember waking and I was going, "What did I do to my hand?" And it was bruised. It was all beat up, and I'm going, "Wow!" And then all of a sudden, I flashed to that door and opening that door and something just like slamming my hand. I mean, like going, no, you're not supposed to be here. You can't see this yet. And I went, oh my gosh, it actually, that experience out of being out of my body actually put something on my own body
physically.
that
Yeah.
that is bruised. And because when I came back, I felt that it was terrible. Frankie Lynn also asks, I wonder uh, what person that astral projects look like. And I've always thought the same thing too. And I'll give you my theories, and I'll let Mike give you his, and Tanya and Billy also. Um, for a long time, I thought that's what shadow figures were. I actually believe that there are people that are remote viewing and everything else, and they come in your house and you may glimpse them as a shadow figure. Uh, After being pulled and going all those different ways and everything else, I just think it's the energy that they can't make any more energy, and that's what that they're appearing. But I do believe that there are people that are traveling that come into our dimension or our area, and they do appear as uh, a being, a spirit, ghost, or whatever that is looking at you or following you, and there they are. You get to see a glimpse of them. So,
Mm-hmm.
what do you guys think of that? Have you ever had that experience, Mike?
I would think that it's their pure energy. It's their untainted pure energy that you're gonna see, and rather it be if it's a physical humanoid, figure, or if it's a dark mass. I think that speaks in volume of their energy, their aurora, so to speak.
Mhm.
Um, you may see them, they may appear in many different ways, just depending on who they are, deep
Yeah,
inside, truly.
right. And I also think when I add this to it, dimensionally, depending on what dimension we are from, if you're in a third dimensional level and you're living in the third dimensional level, what you're going to see is a 3D image. But does that mean that if you're looking at a sixth dimensional being, you're only going to see part of them because all you can see is the 3D person of it? So, what is that going to look like? Is it going to be a spark? Is it going to be a
Wow.
small thing like that? That energy is going to look that way because there's no way that you can visualize to see what you are not above seeing if you're from
Wow.
that dimension. Make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it is very very it's a heavy field, and I'm so glad that people are venturing and going into it and waking their spirit up and seeing what it is all about, the spiritual change and how it will enlighten others, because we take this, we are one, and as we all move toward just one way, it changes everything, and it is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Okay, and I've got something else.
Oh,
you,
is it catching?
I want, I want your opinions on it. Okay.
Go see
Yeah.
a doctor.
So, say you're astral projecting, right?
Mhm.
You're out of your body, so you're not connected to your physical body. You're just out there.
Yes.
Say you come in contact with somebody that's not fully within themselves. Maybe they're intoxicated, maybe there's something wrong with them. Do you think that you, being your spirit, could get trapped into that person's body and maybe create a split personality within that person while your physical body is in a coma, so to speak?
Yeah.
Wow.
In
Yeah.
other
Just a,
words, could multiple personalities or anything like that be, an
Entities
effect?
come. Yeah. It's like an attachment. Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
Right.
but you inadvertently get sucked into that person
Right. I
that
mean,
is.
I've heard of the mind,
Mhm,
MK, ultra, the many things that our brain does to protect itself.
right,
Yes.
And one of the things it does is it cracks, right? Your brain cracks,
Fracture.
and you create another personality. Um, that's one way, and Tanya, that's a way that I really didn't think about. But yeah, what if people, with Down syndrome or addictive,
yeah,
they've gone too far with their addictions, of no
and
return,
they're just randomly wandering the
Yeah,
street and you just happen to fly by.
right. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like that whole dream, the whole dream state thing, when we're dreaming, you're running, you're like, how come I can't go full blast,
mhm,
and then, you go to a haunted home, and 8 times out of 10, there's a spirit that's overwhelmingly holding everybody else hostage.
I call them a general.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're
Exactly.
like, be quiet, don't talk, stay here. I would be like, "What? What are you talking about,
mhm,
dude? I'm out of here. I'm going towards the light." I say
yeah,
that
Yeah.
now, but maybe on the other side, it's dreamy. It's back to, oh no, I'm dreaming. This guy won't let me leave the house. Like,
right.
there's so many
And
different possibilities,
Because if you see somebody that has multiple personalities, it's like one takes over and then the other takes over.
right?
So it
Yeah.
makes me wonder about that.
Mm-hmm.
well, we talk about fractures when we started a long time ago. When we talked about astral projection, and we talk about what happens to you because we're attached to the physical body or the shell, and we're going out without that shell and moving around it. But you have what we used to call the silver cord through your third eye, and that is what you are out there with. And anything in your room happens, anything else happens that is shocking to you, you're immediately gone and you're back to your body. If you're not, that would give there's other
Yes.
beings out there. Imagine other beings that were there that would want to be jump inside of your body also.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
what you
Oh,
have
vacancy.
is then you
Right.
have two and one, and there's a battle that goes on inside that body, and one will push off to the side, and they take over, and then the other, and then you push yourself back over to this side, and it's your body again. But
Mm-hmm.
that silver cord, and how many people have had those dreams of falling and never hit the ground, but
Mm-hmm.
you
You
immediately
jump
come
and
back,
wake up.
you're
Right.
rushed back. It's like going, and that's that silver cord through that thing
Yep.
going, we'll reel you back in. And that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
And
like
I've
going,
literally had that pull me back.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what it
Wow.
is. It's like going zoop, and that's your life force hitting your body, coming back into your shell because your shell is empty and you're out wandering around doing the things that you're out astral projecting and looking for it. And when
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
happens, it just reels you back in with a force of like going zoop, and you hit your body, and that's when you're like going,
Takes
oh
you
my
straight
god,
up, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, I wonder if that silver cord has a health to it. Like if it's something
yeah,
that you could damage and
Yeah.
yeah,
or
Like a cat
someone
with
or
9 lives.
yeah, right. Or
yeah,
someone or another entity sees that and they go, "Oh, look, he's got a weak silver cord. I'm about to
yeah.
get
Let's
that."
go. Yeah,
Or they see
Did
a real
did
strong one and they're like, "Oh, he's his posse's too tight, man."
right,
Yeah, right.
exactly. And you also know that you hear those things about, well, there's a walk-in, where somebody was weakened by alcohol, drugs, or something else, and what happened? Something else jumped into him, walked into him, and now they're a totally different person. It's like going, wow, I used to know Johnny. Now I don't know Johnny at all. He's like,
Right.
where did he come from? What is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that could be both good or bad. I
Right. And then
mean,
you add, it happening to an experiencer and you're so vulnerable. I was
that's right.
so vulnerable when I first, 2 years ago. It's only been 2 years that I've been brave enough to talk about most of this. And
Yes,
it was joining the group initially, that
right. Because you're with other people that are going to talk about their stories, tell those things, and it helps you understand that you're not alone. You're not that person that has only going through this experience, because there's a lot of others that are fighting and going through the same experiences.
yeah, it was like a
And that,
child,
yeah, right.
you can be easily molded at that point. And
Yeah.
I was being molded and, you know, it, I met a lot of really good people, and I learned some very interesting things about
Yeah.
people,
Right.
people that
Exactly.
I've lined myself up with, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, we have different soul families out here, and we all work in that degree, and you raise everything up, and we're all doing battle in a different realm. You know,
yeah.
we talked about being pulled. Um, Sometimes that happens to me more than I really like to. It's like I'm somewhere, and all of a sudden I'm sleeping, and I'm going like that, and they go, "We need you." Here you go. And the next thing you know, you're out there and you're watching something, and you're like going, this is insane.
Yeah.
Hi, Billy. Hi,
It's
Tanya. How you doing?
Yep.
What's going
We're like, well,
it's
it's
an
about time you got here.
Hold my beer,
Yeah,
Bear. I got something I got to do.
dude, right, exactly. Yeah.
it's amazing to think that there may be a technology out there that can detect somebody that does enter somewhere they're not supposed to be. Obviously
Yeah,
it is a thing. I've definitely
it,
heard about that, learned about that.
that's the amazing part of our technology. That's the amazing part of even CERN. What are they what was CERN trying to do? Open portals, you know?
Right.
Portals exist, but what are you going to be pulling out and what are you going to be pulling in? Because you really don't know. You know,
Right.
A
it's
lot
just
of
like
times,
it's like gates.
a lot of times people, we overthink things. We try to figure out the rhyme, the reason, the why, the how, and when it comes down to it, you just do it.
Keep it
You know,
simple. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do
trying to
sometimes.
figure out, the physics and
Right.
the math and everything else to it all. It's
That's when I say, "What's the message?" That's when my friend Angel, she's like, "What's the message?" You know, it may be a little bit more basic. I went to S'mores code when I seen July 21st, when I seen that ship that gave me that light pattern of white lights and the dots. I was like, "All right, Mike, slow down a minute. Let's try to keep it simple. This looks a lot like S'mores code. If they were trying to be very simple and they wanted to get a message across visually like that at this moment." So I looked up, S'mores code and the dots and the lines. Well, my particular message was a number. It wasn't a word. My
Mhm.
number was 444. So right away I'm like, oh, it's an angelic number. Let me look it up. And there's a lot of stuff out there for 444. There's a lot of stuff out there for 000, 111, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, this time my message might have been as simple as 444. 444 what? I don't know. Some date coming up. Maybe my subconscious knows what to do with it. Maybe it'll come up later. It'll become more clear. But yeah,
Yep.
keep it simple.
Yep. Proof after says, if that's the case, is it reversible? Dang, now you got my gears rolling. I said, that's the point. Get those gears rolling.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
Yep.
It means a lot. I mean, when I sat there and I was looking at it, yeah, it didn't do much, but it was counter rotating. One wheel was coming towards me. The other one was going this way.
Right.
I didn't see eyes, but maybe these eyes were lights. And in the ancient times, they see these lights and they thought they were eyes. I don't know. But the bold, medium pace, the speed of which it was doing, it was really rhythmic, like life in general, always moving, like God, always moving, always
Mhm.
moving, in accordance of what his plan is.
Yeah. Now, AJ Wilson has a question. I've heard of a cord connected between you and your body. If it gets severed, then you die. What do you think of that? During astral projection, I think it is.
100% true. I agree with that 100%. You are endless energy in spirit. If there's nothing going to have to hold you to this
Physical world.
Right. Transform. It's time
gravity
to
little,
transform.
this little thing, then what are you going to do? Your spirit is going to take off and your energy is going to take off. And in the world that we know, and what we would say is, yes, you die. But actually, you live
Right.
because of that energy that continues on forever and never
Yeah.
goes away.
Energy
Your
never
spirit
dissipates. It only
never dissipates.
transforms.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly. So,
You may
yeah,
get a redo button in a totally different situation.
Yeah.
right. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
then you'll be
Back to
going,
square one.
and then you're going, why am I being born again? I have
Or
to start
onward
all
to
over
square
again.
99. You know, yeah, there is so much to it. And, but it's wonderful to be able to talk about it, to be able to
Yes.
discuss it, because what are we doing? We're opening our thoughts to be able to say, let's look at this. Look at this. What can it do? What can it be? And Mike, thank you. I love you, brother. It's great to have you on.
Love you too,
I'm
family.
wanting to have you
A
on
lot of
forever.
fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we've
It's
had a
awesome.
chance to.
Could y'all imagine
Unfortunately,
us all underneath
we
the
all
same
got to
roof?
Oh,
run.
yeah.
Oh man, that'd be
And
awesome.
but thank you again. I want you to close out. Talk about where can people go see the your artwork,
Okay.
also your Facebook page, everything that you've got going on, and also your radio show.
Okay. Yeah, I try to tie them all kind of together. Orphanum Energy. Like I said, it started off as a craft store, meditative craft store, but it's becoming my angel diary, and my thoughts and feelings, and ideas that come across my path that helped me, and I'm in hopes that it will help others. And Paranormal Fridays, it's just a lighthearted discussion of anything and everything paranormal. And it just goes to show you don't have to be an expert and have a master's degree in this or that. Just be yourself. Just be yourself, and just operate from your heart. There's many ways to reach out to me, Mike Skywalker, with the number 4 and the letter U at iCloud.com. Yeah, I'd be more than honored to help, or to create something for somebody, to find out what someone's passion is, and you might be surprised what I might be able to create for you that not anybody else has but you.
There you go. That's special. That's special. And Mike, you're a very special man, and we thank you for being on Into the Far. It's been a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you,
And
brother.
everybody, next week on Into the Far will be Frankie Lynn. We'll be talking to Frankie Lynn and showing
Yay.
us some of her great work and everything else.
Nice.
So it's we're looking forward to that.
You see how far down the rabbit hole we can take her.
Uh-huh.
But everybody, have a great night. Enjoy. Take your kids out if you're and have some nice Halloween. Enjoy the family. Don't eat too much candy. And we will see you here next week on Into the Far. Have a great night, everyone.